welcome to the end of the semester. So this is my final project. We're going to be talking about training and development and how it affects their turnover rates and why it's important to measure that in the workplace. Turnover rates is probably one of the most interesting things to me in the workplace, and I think they're really impacted by how management and HR decides to train their employees on. Okay. So, how training and development affects turnover rates? What is training and development? Workplace training is the process of developing knowledge, skills, and efficiency in your job. It's really important to know who your employees are, how they learn, and just making sure that you're teaching them of what they need to know about the workplace. Let's see, turnover rates. Why are they important? Turnover rates are important to measure because they tell you who's staying and who's going. My workplace has really struggled in the past, I would say, 3 or 4 months of keeping employees, and turnover rates are just seeing who's leaving, like how many employers you're going through, or are you keeping them, or are they going out of the workplace? And I was able to get permission to conduct some interviews with some of our team leads, which is just managers of the workplace. So, yeah. Let's see, measuring human resources and why it's important to measure these things. Measuring in general in HR, I think, is crazy important. Our book really talks about this. And in our last presentation that we did, I think it was measuring HR or something like that. And it just shows where you've come from and hopefully where you're going. It shows that where there's increases and where there's decreases. It can also show, where those decreases are, what needs to be done here, what work is needed. It also holds employees and especially management and HR accountable for what they're including in the workplace, how they're influencing it. HR has to be held accountable because this is their job place. This is their job to look at the training and development, what they're implementing, what they should be implementing. And when you look at the training and development and you're measuring it according to the employees, it obviously is going to show, what your turnover rates are. So measuring is just really good for accountability and ensuring that you're doing the right thing and you keep on going because it's going good, So, let's see. I love that picture right there. This thing is like, okay. Turnover and training and development. Why is training and development so important? Well, when you're being hired for your job, you're not going to know everything right off the bat. And different organizations and different workplaces have different ways of doing things, and so ensuring that you incorporate the certain methods that an organization has and let the employees know, like, hey, this is how we do things, that's really important. Also, people use different kind of software, people use different ways of communication, and just informing your new employees of that is really important. Turnover rates and why are they important? Turnover rates, I feel like, are more beneficial for just the HR side of things. And if HR is keeping up with that, it really helps, like team leads, for example, in our company. It helps HR know what they need to be telling team leads to either increase or decrease or improve when they're training or, whatever. I love this picture right here just because everybody's running the same race in the workplace. It doesn't matter if you're doing the same job or you're not, you're all running the same race in the workplace. You're there, clock in, clock out, but you're all there to do the same thing. And it's important to ensure that you're doing it together. So, yeah. Training and development. This quote was actually inspired by my mother. She's a huge fan of Albert Einstein. Education is not the learning of facts, but the training of the mind to think, by Albert Einstein, of course. To bring in the statistics side of things, HR really has to focus on training and how they want the employees to view them as HR, as human resources, their backup, their people in the workplace. 40% of employees will not stay in their positions if there is no training given, obviously, because you're not taking the time out to help these people, help these new people that you're bringing in to accomplish goals and objectives in the workplace. If you're not taking the time to train your employees, they're going to feel like that there's no purpose for them to even be there. Without record of training in the workplace, 74% of employees feel they lack potential. Like I said again, if you're not taking time to, employ and train and ensure there's development changes going on with your employees, then of course they're not going to stay. They're not going to feel like they're needed. They're not going to feel like what they're taking their time out and your time out is important. So of course they're going to leave. So this is my team lead. Each department has a team lead, which is kind of like a manager, but it's like a team lead, and then you have a supervisor that will enforce disciplinary action, if needed. But so this is Mandy. She's my team lead, like I said. And she used to be involved in contracting and some with HR, so she kind of has a little bit inside information. She gets to be in meetings and stuff like that. So I spoke with her. Sorry, something fell. I spoke with her, and she said 40% of has been the turnover rate in our workplace here lately. Y'all, here lately, I don't know what has been going on, but we have been going through employees. So I spoke with her about ideas, she may have about how she wants to improve that, what we could do. What I could do, because I'm asked to train sometimes when we have new employees come in, and she thinks that there's a communication issue. I took a class way back when, and we talked about work groups. They would hire a group within, is a specific organization that would just simply train and hire and do like team building exercise and stuff like that. And I asked her, do you think this would be beneficial? Would this help the turnover rate? She was like, hands down. So she's actually going to speak to Brian, which is head of our HR, about it. So, yeah, that was her interview. Next, it's our training and development of billing and collections. She trains a lot of our employees. Iris, hands down, is probably one of the best coworkers I've ever had. So she believes that there is an issue of people understand that people just learn differently, and people just are not taking the time to train and development their employees. They're not taking the time to figure out what works best for them. And she also thinks that there needs to be more time with training. So one thing recently that she's been doing is taking, to measure things, she would take an Excel spreadsheet and she would put down, Bob trained for so many hours, and this is what he's accomplished in the days that he's been able to work for a few hours by himself. So it's little things like that they may be small measurements, but over time they're going to show, what kind of training is working and how it's affecting their turnover rates in the workplace. So, moving on. Go back up. Training that should be implemented. So, one of the resources that I use that I never even thought that they had anything, like this, but Indeed, Indeed is one of the number one hiring online websites used today. In fact, I've had a couple interviews from them. but they had this whole list of just why training is important, what should be implemented. As a good employee, what should you bring to the table? So these are some things on the employer side of this, as far as HR goes, that they believe is really important to the workplace. So one of those is onboarding, just welcoming in people and ensuring that they feel competent enough to start to train in their new workplace. Technical development. Everybody has different kinds of technology, and just ensuring that the people are growing with the times and they're able to operate as needed. Soft skills training. This probably was the number one thing that I think was most valuable to my workplace and is valuable to any other workplace. Everybody has to communicate. Everybody has to take the time to communicate. And without good and healthy communication in the workplace, you don't have anything. And team training, you have to be able to work with other people. And in order to measure that is going to dictate whether or not you get a secure position in a workplace, I feel like. Yeah. Recommendations for PKC, definitely soft skills. I think one of the issues with the turnover rates that we've been measuring here in the past is just not communicating with our employees enough. We train them for 3 or 4 days, and then you send them off to your office, and you check in on them once a week, or just there needs to be more communication, and I think more accountability, like the book talks about. And it is important to keep track of turnover rates. Sometimes you get so discouraged about, what you're doing wrong and why so many people leave and never come back. And making sure you measure that, communicating about it, and keeping track of it. And, there's going to be some people that just do not care about a job. But sometimes I feel like, no, I do feel like if there's going to be a continual issue that people leave, managers quit, it comes from the source. It comes from who's directing these people to do what. So measuring that, keeping that accountable, and not doing away with that accountability is really important. I actually just had my yearly evaluation, and I actually listed some of these things, like the turnover rates and what should be added to training, and these ideas of work groups. So when you measure this kind of stuff, it's not per se, oh look, this is what you're doing wrong. No, this is what is making or breaking our organization. So it's just a few ideas that I think are just really important. And HR is the people but at the same time, if there's going to be people who are going to implement these ideas and these strategies in the workplace, they need to be held accountable for. They need to be measured about what's working and what's not working, because times change and so do people. So metrics like we talked about, technical skills, onboarding, that are used in HR are always important. There's employment perspective and there's management's perspective. So making sure that there's a balance and keeping that healthy balance is really what's going to make a workplace succeed. So I've enjoyed this class. And like this quote says, your hard work will soon pay off. It's paid off. This is in the class. And I appreciate y'all, and I appreciate just this opportunity. And I hope to grow in HR and continue to try to measure healthy and unhealthy things that happen in the workplace. So thanks. Bye, y'all.